Go. Hello, book lovers, and welcome to Book Talk Radio Club. My name is Claire Perkins, and today I'm talking to Dr. Jim Fantauzzo. Dr. Fantauzzo is a president of Creative Training Solutions, an organization of specialized management consultants, management trainers, and professional speakers. He is recognized as one of the industry's finest speakers and seminar leaders in the areas of Christian leadership coaching, total quality management, management development, and employee motivation programs. His philosophy utilizes a realistic, hands-on approach in which to apply and implement training activities at all levels. His book, On the Shoulders of Leaders, was published in 2016. Hello, Jim. First of all, welcome and thank you for coming on Book Talk Radio Club to talk about your book, On the Shoulders of Leaders.
Hi, Claire. Thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much.
And thank you. On the Shoulders of Leaders is a team-centered leadership book and can be a resource for anyone in a position of authority. What is a team-centered leadership book? What does that mean?
Well, what it means is associated with all the 32 chapters in the book, in some way, they are all linked together. They're building blocks, really, for readers who are interested in acquiring more knowledge about leadership, and they can use all these chapters, perhaps not one at a time, but jumping around. So, to expand upon that, Leadership for Team Performance, Centered Leadership, it's an organization that has values, that has vision, as to where they want to take the organization, the mission statement to give it life is important. The mission statement clearly defines how the organization is going to go from position A and B and C and so on, and to give it life. And leadership gives it life.
Sure.
It's part of the culture. It's part of understanding all the teams within the organization. It's a group process of building teams. It's a decision-making process. It involves knowledge, skills, and tools. And so the leader has that responsibility to try and gain team consensus, employee consensus, to commitment and common objectives to help the organization grow and be effective.
So Jim, let's go through a few of the chapters and you can tell me what they're all about, yes? So trust building relationships. How does one build trust between managers and employees?
Well, I'd like to begin with a preface that proactive leadership is not a dress rehearsal. It's important that leaders understand their role and how to build teams, understanding employees. Trust building relationships clearly encompasses role modeling. Quite often people hear the employees in every organization, and every organization has an organization chart for many purposes, but people hear what leaders say, but they watch what they do. So it's building a culture of trust. It's cultivating credibility. It's sharing information during informal and formal meetings. It's conducting performance reviews on time. It's maintaining confidentiality regarding an open door policy, because leaders need to be approachable. Very important. It's providing, again, vision and mission. It's asking employees for their advice. Teams will be stronger. Morale will be higher. It will improve. There will be a very visible, more harmony and cooperation among the teams. There'll be less turnover and more productivity.
That sounds good. That's
pretty far-reaching. And I think, too, it's important to state that leadership is important in all organizations, whether it's healthcare, high-tech, hospitality, and so on and so forth. So the key factor, once again, are the people.
Yeah.
Leadership won't work, doesn't work without empathy, to also embrace that the leaders need to treat people more importantly than themselves. So it's pretty far-reaching.
It sure is. It sure is. The employment interview. I mean, I was never very good at being an interviewee, which is one of the reasons why I started my own business. Tell me about the employment interview. It's all very well being able to ask the right questions, but from years of experience, I used to find some of the interviewers absolutely awful. They didn't even believe in the questions they were asking me.
Sure. That too embraces a lot of knowledge, a lot of important knowledge. If we could create a hypothesis for a moment, every organization during solid economic times are going to have openings. And so until the opening is staffed, something is going to suffer. Some component of work within some department is going to suffer because they are not up to full employee strength. So to respond to your question, the interviewer needs to be trained as to what questions to ask, legal questions, relevant questions to a job description. The B part is the interviewer should definitely review and study the resume and the application as part of the planning process when they meet the candidate. And this is a really key important point, Claire. Candidates should be treated as a guest.
Yeah.
As a guest, they truly are a guest of the organization. They should not be interrogated. So to summarize a little bit, prior planning, interview training is critically important. Preparation to study the application, the resume, focusing in on key information for the purpose of gathering information.
Yep.
And once the information is gathered, the interviewer and or a team of interviewers, senior management, whoever, evaluate and assess, will this person be a good fit? Then they contact the candidate with their decision, either no interest or they make the candidate an offer. But I'll go back to an important comment that I made. Candidates, no matter who they are, should be treated as a guest of the organization because they're going to leave there with an impression.
Absolutely.
Negative.
Absolutely. Employment morale is critically important too. Oh yes, absolutely. So how does a good leader boost their employee morale?
Well, I think the first major step is understanding all of the employees that they are responsible for. Their strengths, their areas that need to be improved upon, and beyond that, the leader must have a schedule in which to communicate to all the employees, sharing information about the department, about the company, about the product, about customer service. So communication is important. They need to be sure that the employees have all the resources they need to get their job done, no matter what the job.
Yeah.
Ideally, the most up-to-date tools based upon some affordability. There should be a safe environment. Ideally, there should be an internal promotion system where employees feel the opportunity for career pathing growth. There should be an attitude survey to find out what the employees really think about working in that department or that company with regard to their money, with regard to the environment. Do they feel the leader is approachable? Can they talk to that person? Is there truly an open door policy? Is their environment safe? Is it pleasant? Is the cafeteria, if they have one, is it clean? And the food is fresh and so on and so forth. So it's truly far-reaching, in terms of the employee morale. And I think one of the most important things, too, are the employee performance reviews. Quite often, they are late. They should never be late. They should always be on time, associated with the internal human resources promotion policy. So, again, I go back to the thought that's important, knowing your staff, knowing your department, who are they, and what are their areas that need to be improved upon, and what areas do they have strengths, and is there harmony in the group? Do they work well together? Can leader influence this process, which is very, very important.
Yeah.
So, another definition of leadership, if I may be defined as the ability to accomplish goals by working with and through people.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you a synopsis of the morale question. All of these factors are really, really important with regard to building blocks for team performance.
And the importance of teamwork, what does that mean to you, Jim?
I'm sorry, say that again?
The importance of teamwork, what does that mean to you?
Oh, is there harmony within the group? Do the employees trust their leader? Does the leader provide an environment where there's open communication? Some of it is constructive, some of it may be negative, but it's understanding all the team members in that organization. It's really important. Are the employees committed to doing the best job that they can, or are they there just to earn a living and leave at 5 o'clock, whatever? There's such a difference.
Sure.
To build a team, it's hard work. Leadership is hard work.
Yeah.
Very definitely hard work. But unless the leader is truly committed to their role, to their objectives, it won't be genuine, it won't be effective.
Let's talk about now how to conduct an effective, useful and purposeful meeting, or as I like to call it, how to prevent your staff from falling asleep during a meeting. So, Jim, how does a leader conduct an effective, useful and purposeful meeting?
Well, administratively, I'll touch upon some basics. The meetings should start on time. The meetings should end on time. There should be an agenda that is disseminated among all of the people who are going to be attending the meeting. The agenda should be followed. The leader of the meeting, the chairman or the supervisor or the manager, whoever, he needs or she needs to understand the importance of involving all the people at the meeting. That person needs to recognize who is very involved in a meeting and who isn't, and try and draw them in with regard to having an effective meeting. But I think too, when I conduct a meeting or teach how to conduct a meeting, I always start off with a brainstorming fun exercise. That breaks down the fences. People feel more comfortable, and it typically the brainstorming encompasses some humor. So people feel comfortable being there, and there's trust among the group.
Absolutely.
So again, starting on time, following the agenda, ending on time, and having a pre-published agenda so people can prepare.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very important.
Absolutely.
I mean, take a group, Claire, of senior managers, VP of marketing, manufacturing, engineering, human resources. Anyway, if you take all those functions and you add their salaries up and divide by an hour, it's pretty expensive.
Sure.
Not only that, I can honestly attest to the fact that if meetings are ineffective, there's going to be so much waste of time and resources. And this is not good because it affects the bottom line.
Absolutely. The Depository of Truth chapter, that sounds interesting. What's that about?
That's about maintaining credibility. It's about developing trust and integrity among all of the people you're responsible for. Whether you're a general manager or VP of engineering, it's going to be terribly, terribly important. And I will add a little bit of the real world. A leader cannot be all things to all people.
Absolutely.
They do the best they can. That truly is realistic. And I think too, a very positive comment which is difficult for some leaders, is to treat people more important than themselves. Make them feel important. If we, perhaps on our another discussion, we can talk about the importance of self-esteem. Self-esteem, we all have self-esteem that needs to be addressed and built upon in some way. And unless the leader has the training, Claire, to understand these behavioral traits, they won't be effective. They won't be effective. I often tell, if I visit a hospital and I talk to the CEO, I ask that person, are you comfortable asking your team, your VP of nursing, your director of finance, your doctor, whoever, are you comfortable asking them, how am I doing? As CEO, how am I doing? Are you willing to accept that response? And most of them say no, and some do say yes, and it helps them to be a more effective leader.
Leadership thinking skills. Tell me more.
I think a leader needs to, again, understand human behavior. I think they need to understand, depending upon their function, the importance of analysis. They need to understand the importance of reading, whether it's an annual report or how to conduct a performance review. They must understand, too, in my view, the importance of emotional stability, emotional intelligence. Sort the facts out before you make a decision. It's very, very important. And I think, too, understanding, going back to vision, mission, understand what you need to do to give those areas, those important areas, life. If you don't have a vision, there's no planning. If you don't have a mission statement, there's no planning. There's a high probability you're going to lose market share, no matter what you're doing, whether it's census regarding a hospital because of a reputation or whatever. So I think that's important. I think to leadership thinking skills, that person, if they are in charge, needs to truly understand the building blocks for team importance. And I know I'm repeating myself, but as I said at the very beginning, all the chapters are somehow, in some way, linked together.
Sure, I understand. On the Shoulders of Leaders also has case studies that are reference to the real world of work. And you say they would prove to be invaluable and an extremely useful tool for the 21st century managers at all levels. Can you give me a couple of examples, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to. During my research process of putting the book together, I visited hospitals, I visited hospitality organizations, hotels, the Marriotts, the Hiltons, and so on. I visited high-tech organizations, both military and machines. I visited academia. And I found that by providing case studies associated with all of these organizations, and they're in the book, no names, of course, will help to better understand modern leadership, the leading of teams of people. To meet, I think, the case studies clearly reference the importance of meeting the needs of the people. There's case studies in there on communication. There's case studies on emotional intelligence, having all the facts before you make a decision. There's case studies, performance reviews, administering them on time, situational leadership, how to address the problem using analysis, using emotional intelligence to make the best decision you can regarding organizational issues or problems and people. There's case studies in there on the importance of, for example, commitment to students and commitment to patients regarding healthcare. So these case studies are so important because it talks about the strategic goals of organizations and how to get people to work in harmony. It talks about how politics, all those politics everywhere, but how politics can be a blockage of competence. How it can be a blockage for reducing morale. So it talks about the need for purposeful communication, whether it's a meeting or an annual report. It talks about meeting or exceeding expectations of the organization. So these are all in there with also different kinds of graphical charts which help display and lend credence to the contents of the case studies.
There are hundreds, if not thousands, of books out there on leadership. Can you give me a short sentence why managers, executives should buy On the Shoulders of Leaders rather than any of the others?
It's very realistic. Case studies help them to better understand the importance of leadership. The chapters are short, and I wrote them that way purposely, Claire, so a reader could jump around from one chapter to the next and retrieve the relevant information that is very concise, very proactive, and it works based upon my experience as a consultant, as a university professor, and a workshop facilitator. I know these strategies will work because they are related to proven business strategies. The information has a high utility, very, very useful.
Well, let's talk about you now, Dr. Jim Fantauzzo, author and president of Creative Training Solutions. What is Creative Training Solutions? What do you do there?
Well, in addition to being an author, I accept opportunities as a keynote speaker. I accept opportunities to give speeches, workshop facilitator on everything that's in the book. I've conducted a workshop. I'm an author, as you know, and I help people as a coach who might be having certain problems with regard to some of life's storms. Could be marriage, could be work-related, could be a drug problem. Currently, I'm very, very involved in an international committee, truly, Claire, international, from all over the world. We have a conference call once a month as to how to better understand the symptoms associated with adult and teenage suicide.
Oh, wow.
Sad. It's so sad. It's so out of place. My gosh, it's growing. Also in the U.S. military, because they come back from deployment and they could have limitations with eyesight or limb, and they give up. Oh. So I'm out there too to help people to better understand the importance that their life matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I try to help people reduce the sadness in their life, Claire, and try to make the world a better place. Not always easy.
No.
Truly. It's not always easy.
So Jim, tell me, why the training industry? What made you decide to go that route, as it were?
I saw the need for it. In all the organizations that I've consulted with, and I mentioned them, healthcare, hospitality, high tech, academia, and so on, I saw the need. I saw the need as a university professor, and some of my role playing with students, their reports, their study habits, and their commentary during my lectures. And also, my background is with a human resources responsibility. I worked for Marriott Corporation in Washington, and so I fused it all together, Claire. And I said, there's a need to be an author. There's a need to provide training. Absolutely. There's a need to give talks and facilitate workshops.
Wonderful.
And so that's how I started. Going back probably 10 years. And so as a result of that, the resultant of that was that, okay, now I got to take all this information, and I've got files and files and files in my study, put it in a book form. And speaking of books, I just finished my second leadership book.
Jim, can we not digress from where we're going? We'll talk about that later on. Let's just go on. There's something that's interested me. You're recognised as one of the industry's finest speakers and seminar leaders in the areas of Christian leadership coaching, total quality management, management development, and employee motivation programs. I have to ask, if I may, Jim, what is the difference between Christian leadership coaching as opposed to any other type of leadership coaching?
Well, I think the client, Claire. I think if it's my sense of talking with a client that I feel through my assessment, through discussion of an hour, 2 hours, that they have a religious belief, then I bring that in. The importance of praying, the importance of depending upon their religion as a underpinning. If it doesn't emerge, then I don't talk about it. But the approach is the same, except for someone who clearly emerges that they are a religious person.
Right. Oh, I did wonder that. Thank you for answering that. What?
I don't want to be intrusive. That would be delicate.
No, exactly. What advice would you give to leaders and managers, particularly during this rather strange world we live in at the moment?
I would encourage them to read as much as they have time for regarding leadership and communication and how to build teams. I would advise them clearly to go back to training, to refresh their thought process, to acquire new knowledge, to rebuild their knowledge base about leadership. I would encourage them to cultivate a sense of compassion and responsibility for what they do.
Absolutely.
Because we truly become what we think about. Truly, we become what we think about.
Absolutely.
I would encourage them to learn from their mistakes, because we all make mistakes. Perfect intentions by imperfect people. We all learn mistakes. I would encourage them to surround themselves with cheerful, positive, optimistic, and gifted people on their team as direct reports. I would encourage them to help their staff and teams to do excellent work, even if it involves rolling up their sleeves and pitching in to help them. Absolutely. I would always mention to their people, I have an open door policy. If you ever want to see me, please come in. I would lead by example.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very important. I think too they have to accept the fact that they need to be open-minded. They're not always right.
No.
And I think it's important that they admit, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
I think it's important you tell the people, you did a great job today. I think it's important that they accept the confidence to say, what is your opinion? I would encourage them to think about placing more trust in their people, and very importantly, saying thank you as often as they can. So it goes on and on, leadership is more important than reaching a goal. It is also about teams of people, how they are being treated,
exactly.
how they're being led.
Look, Jim, I'm going to return briefly to your book by reading out an absolutely wonderful review for On the Shoulders of Leaders. The approaches are related to business strategies and proven ideas that are the result of the author's experience as a management consultant, speaker, researcher, trainer, and corporate human resources professional in the real world of business. The information is rich with realistic ideas and approaches for clear judgment, selecting the right leadership behaviour and capture the true essence of leadership. Jim, that really is a wonderful review. Tell me, lastly, where can Book Talk Radio Club's listeners purchase On the Shoulders of Leaders?
Claire, they can go to Friesen Press in Victoria, British Columbia. They can go to Zulon Press in Maitland, Florida. They can contact me directly through my email, which is cts7349@msn.com, and I'd be happy to send them a signed copy. The book is selling for $13.95. The paperback, the hardcover, is $26.95. And if they can call me, may I give you my phone number?
No, I wouldn't do that over the air, but thank you very much. That's great. Jim, please come back on Book Talk Radio Club again. I'd love to chat with you and hear more. In the meantime, good luck for the future, and thank you everyone for listening to Book Talk Radio. Lovely to speak to you, Jim.
Me too, Claire. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Bye.